Hey, shalom, shalom. It's the brother Abba Buff from the DC Church. Coming at you, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Shema, Shah, Bashim, Kokadash, Yahweh being the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shah being whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, Bashim meaning in the name, or call meaning spirit, Kodash meaning holy. These are the names and the powers that I come to in order to profess the 100% truth, and Lord's will seal the elect's faith. Shane Kabaga, well, the Rakaz, Queen, Naba'ith, many double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS. In these times whom the Heavenly Father had enlisted the 100% truth to, and Shalom wa Barakum Leprechaun Shah, peace and blessings be upon the elect of the nation of Israel. And to the men out there that's pushing this word of sincerity and truth, to you I say Shalom wa Barakum peace and blessings be upon you. Now, without further ado, Lord's will, this video is going to be named One Selfless Act. And what really made me think of this video was through me just reading and going over some of the details of things that men have done in the past to have sacrificed in order for us to be in the position that we're in today. And if it wasn't for our forefathers to make the selfless acts that they've made and to have done the things that they have done, you know, we would not be in this predicament of where we are today. You know, of having propitiation, of having atonement, of having a name, of being a great nation, of having laws, statutes, ordinances, and you know, everything that we're able to obtain through the sacrifices of our forefathers. And one thing that we have to realize also is that our forefathers' blood actually runs through us. We are those men. Those men are us. We are living. What I'm looking for? We are a living resemblance of those men, all right? Now, two men that I have in mind that have made very selfless acts or have done very selfless things in order for us to obtain this high seat of being the world's best nation and the Heavenly Father's favorite people. And furthermore, you know, having an inheritance that we will inherit, Lord's will soon, is Abraham and Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. You know, we can't talk about selfless acts unless we talk about Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, all right? So the first precept I wanted to start off with is in Genesis, or Bara Ashath, all right, which means in the headings, chapter 22. And I'm gonna start at 1, all right? So this is the book of Genesis, chapter 22, verse 1. It says, "And it came to pass after these things that Yahweh," I say Elohim because I believe it says that God, that's Elohim, did tempt Abraham, because the scriptures say that the Lord tempteth no man. I'm thinking of James, the 1st chapter. 1 second. Right. It says Elohim did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, behold, he said, behold, here I am. And he said, take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell thee of." All right. Now, just to add a little bit more context to this too, just recently, I believe in the chapter before, 1 second. Yeah, I believe in the chapter before, it was just, give me 1 second. Yeah, just in the chapter before, Abraham had sent Ishmael off, all right? Because I believe Ishmael mocked Isaac or Sarah, and it grieved her. So basically the Lord told Abraham to, you know, send him, Ishmael, his mother, off. So at this point, Abraham has one son. And on top of that, he bore the son, his wife bore the son during the time of, in their old age, okay? So that adds more context to the story, which allows you to understand how much more difficult it was and it was for Abraham during that specific time to have done what the Heavenly Father commanded him to do. All right. So verse 3, it says, and Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son and clave the wood and for burnt offering and rose up and went unto the place of which the Heavenly Father, or the Elohim, which it is the Heavenly Father, had told him. All right. It says, then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, abide here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come to you again. And Abraham took the wood and the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, my father. He said, here I am, my son. And he said, behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? And Abraham said, my son, God, or Yahweh Bashmiah Shai, will provide a lamb for burnt offering. So they went both of them together. All right. And you know, the Lord put that detail in there for you to also understand how much more deeper the situation was, you know, for your own son, the only son that you have, you know, to have to sacrifice him, and then him ask you that question during a time where he's already going through pain, because he had 3 days to think about what he had to do to his son, essentially, you know. And you got to think about it. During the time of the 3 days, you can only imagine what he was going through, you know. He probably didn't even fucking eat during that time because he was so anxious and so you know, so nervous and so heartbroken, really, to say the least, of what he had to do for the Lord's sake. And we can extract wisdom from this and understand that the same thing is commanded of us. You know, we're going to have to sacrifice things, and we're going to have to make selfless decisions so that we can not better ourselves only, but for the elect's sake, okay? For our family's sake. And Abraham did this, and he obeyed the Heavenly Father, not for himself, not only for himself, but also for his family's sake, for his inheritance sake, for his generation's sake, all right? And the things that we do and the selfless acts that we do, it's going to be written. You know, Lord's will, we be a part of the elect. So verse 9, Genesis chapter 22, verse 9, it says, and they came to the place which the Heavenly Father had told of him, and Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. And he said, lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest the Heavenly Father, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of this place Jehovah Jireh, which I believe Yahweh provides. If I'm not mistaken, could be mistaken. Salakia if I am. It says, as it is said to this day in the mount of the Lord, it shall be seen. And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of the heaven the second time and said, behold, and said, by myself I have sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and multiplying I will multiply thee, thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sands which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gates of his enemy. All right. And in thy seed shall all nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. Now, that's just to cover Abraham, right? And the sacrifice that he made and the selfless act that he's performed that has allowed us to enter into the inheritance, in which is going to be given to us sooner than later, all right? But being the fact that he did what was commanded of him of the Heavenly Father, he was able to enter into that blessing. Same concept for us. And I know me amongst all brothers that are truthfully, that believe in the Heavenly Father in sincerity and in truth, are all going through a season of having to do things that we never necessarily wanted to do, but have to do, because those are the things that are going to purify us. Right now, we're in a season of losing, and it's not necessarily a loss as in like, right now we're in a season where Satan is he's allowed to take, so I'm seeing videos of brothers getting their car broken into. My car got broken into. A woman I was recently with, she left for whatever which reason. I know brothers, they're going through their situations with their women and their family and their children and their financial situations. And, even me, myself, I'm going through personal things that I won't detail on this in this video. But the fact of the matter is that these things need to happen in order for us to enter into the blessing in which the Lord is going to give us in the latter end. All right. And that's why the scriptures say better is the end of a thing than the beginning. And a lot of times during that time, just like Abraham during those 3 days of him having to wait, or having to journey to go to the place to where he was going to sacrifice his son, the hurt and the anxiety and the depression played on him, because he had to do something that was greatly or give up something that was great to him, or he cared about the most, in the flesh. And it's the same thing with us. But that selfless act is what allowed him to enter into the blessing in which the Lord gave him. Okay. Now, I got 2 precepts, which I'm going to start at this one first. This is the book of Philippians, chapter 2, verse 5. And it reads, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Hamashiach Yahushai, who being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God, and made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men." Okay. And being found in the fashion as men, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Which the scriptures say, cursed is the man who hangeth on the cross, right? It says, "Wherefore the Heavenly Father also hath highly exalted him, and given him a name which is above every name, that at the name of Yahushua HaMashiach every knee should bow, and of things in heaven, and things in earth, and of things under earth, and that every tongue should confess that Yahushua HaMashiach is Lord, to the glory of God," or Yahweh, the Father. All right. Now keep this in mind, that Yahushai, he had to sacrifice himself. It won't like he had to sacrifice a vessel that wasn't himself. Yahushai legitimately had to undergo what Abraham went through, but the full extent of it, which is putting himself on that altar and sacrificing himself. Okay. And this is the most selfless act a man has ever performed for his people, and will always be remembered as the most selfless act that a man has ever performed. Because through this act, Yahushua, he entered into the glorification that came with being a selfless man and doing something not for yourself only, but for your nation. We are doing and performing the same exact thing. Every time we go out on the highways and hedges and we make these videos, we put up a petition and a curse upon this world, and we put up prayers and blessings toward the elect and the men out here that's pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. The Lord looks at these things, and he looks at those selfless acts, and he judges you by them, and he judges you righteously. Okay. And that's why, when this season is over, because this season will be over soon, the Heavenly Father is going to allow brothers to tap into resources and levels of wisdom and knowledge and understanding that we've never received before in our existence. All right. We now have the full encompassment of the truth and are able to tap into the full encompassment of this truth. All right. Because we are at the latter end. So all of the seals are broken. Okay. And that's why the Heavenly Father is allowing us to go through these things, to draw us closer to him, so we can get closer into this, reading that book, and getting into that book so that we can extract the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we need to suffice us whenever we go through further trials and tribulations. All right. So making these selfless acts, or performing these selfless acts, is allowing us to tap into Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, which is allowing us to be preserved in the end. All right. Now, let me go to the second precept that I have to show the severity of the selflessness of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. This is Romans chapter 5, and I start at verse 5. It says, Salah. I'm going to start at verse 8. It says, but Yahweh commended his love toward us, and that while we were yet sinners, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach died for us. Much more then, being now justified by his blood, we shall be saved from wrath through him. For if when we were enemies, we were reconciled to Yahweh by the death of his son, much more being reconciled, we shall be saved by his life. So Yahweh Shai is the man who performed the most selfless act. And by him, we are able to receive of life through him. Okay. In which we were imparted in the beginning, but we weren't perfect. But we are able to obtain perfection in life and immortality through Yahweh Shah, because he sacrificed himself and he put himself on that cross. All right. Although what he inquired of Yahweh 3 times before he was crucified to let that cup be passed. And sometimes, man, we don't want to go through the trials and tribulations of what we go through. You know, I just seen a brother's testimony, a brother's video, where he said he had a vision, which I'm a Lord's will do a video on that too, that he would lose his car, you know, and then it came to fruition, you know, and the Lord speaks to us in our visions in some cases, in a lot of cases. And you got to decipher what a vision is and what dream is. And they have 2 different definitions too, in which, you know, that's another video for a different day. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, we're going to have to lose things. We're going to have to have things stripped away from us. And Yahweh Shah, he had his life stripped away from him for our sake, so that we may enter into everlasting life. All right. But through that, we are able to obtain all the fruits of righteousness and all the fruits of the Spirit, whether it be good or bad, you know, whether it be lessons of the left-hand side or the right-hand side, through Yahweh Shah HaMashiach making that sacrifice, right? So Romans chapter 5, verse 10, it says, for if we were enemies, we were reconciled to the Heavenly Father by the death of his son. See, now we're made friends again with Yahweh, all right? It says, much more being reconciled, we shall be saved by his life. Not only so, but we also joy in Yahweh through Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, by whom we have now received the atonement. See? And so it says, wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, so death passed upon all men, for all that have sinned. So it says, for that all have sinned, right? So I'm gonna skip down to 17. It says, for by Romans chapter 5, verse 17, for if by one man's offense death reigned by one, much more they which receive abundance of grace and the gift of righteousness shall reign in the life by one Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. And we can close the book after that having been said, right? Because for Yahweh Shah HaMashiach doing what he did, which was sacrificing himself, just as Abraham was commanded to sacrifice Isaac, since Yahweh Shah underwent that, he was able to tap into that grave level of glory, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. It's the same thing we're going through too. We're losing things on this side, and we're sacrificing things on this side, whether it's relationships, children, family, resources, you know, sanity. We're sacrificing these things so that we're able to enter into that glorification in which the Lord is pushing us into, you know. So with that, I pray that you will edify through this epistle, you know, and I pray that you're able to make the sacrifices, the necessary sacrifices, in order for you to obtain glorification, you know, as being a part of the elect. So with that, I give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Shema, Shabbat, Shema, Kokadash, and Kabbat. God, well, the records of Queen Abba, Aith, with Shalom, with Barak, Mabakar, Shiasha, Allah. Until next time, I say Shalom.